You're muted, TJ.
Yep. Thanks, man. Good evening, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. The Guardians, unfortunately, are officially out of the playoffs, but we are finally back with you on this Monday night, this Victory Monday. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by Nick Lazier and Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, how we feeling this evening?
Pretty ready to talk some football.
Yep, absolutely ready to talk some football. The only good football team in the state of Ohio. So, but before we get right down to it, guys, be sure if you are joining us on YouTube and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, just click on that subscribe button. Again, it's free to subscribe to the channel, but also shows a lot of support for Network 216 and all of our shows on the network. But also take a second to like the video as well. That way you can help us reach other audiences besides just the Columbus audience. So we'd really appreciate that. And before we break down Ohio State versus Iowa, just a quick minute. We're just going to give a quick announcement from our partners at Underdog Fantasy. What's up, everybody? We know that daily fantasy never stops, and Network 216 is proud to be a partner with Underdog Fantasy. Very simple to use. All you have to do is go to underdogfantasy.com, and you will just click the sign in button. You'll create an account if you haven't done so already. If you've not created an account, it'll ask you to enter a code. Enter code 216, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, live draft lobbies that you get to compete with you and your friends. It's no salary cap like DraftKings and FanDuel. You get to go to a draft lobby, pick the players you want, or you can do daily pick'ems, which give you access to all the NFL and NBA games for you to make your picks every single night. Again, go to underdogfantasy.com or use the Underdog Fantasy app on iOS or Android. Use code 216 to double your first deposit up to $100. Sign up today. And guys, it was a big weekend for Ohio State. Iowa came to town. We knew they had a good defense coming in, but Ohio State struggled a little bit early on, but ended up winning this game 54-10. Just some brief stats that we have. CJ Stroud was 20 of 30, 286 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Buckeye run game really didn't do a whole lot. Travion Henderson, 11 carries, 38 yards. Mayan Williams, 10 carries, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receivers, though, once again, just fantastic. Julian Fleming, 2 catches, 105 yards and a touchdown. Emeka Egbuka had 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr., 7 catches, 62 yards and a touchdown. Overall, the offense struggled, but ended up turning it on there in the second half. But I think the real thing that stood out to me about this game, guys, was obviously Iowa having just a terrible defense, but the Ohio State a terrible offense, my apologies. But Ohio State's defense was just fantastic. What do you guys think overall of the defense's performance on Saturday?
I think they did what they needed to do. I mean, Iowa came into the game with the worst offense in FBS. I think they were ranked dead last in every major category.
Mm-hmm.
So they did what they needed to do. I think they struggled early, which has been a common trend, but Iowa really couldn't do anything offensively. So, I mean, Tommy Eichenberg's a beast. Yeah. We've been saying it all year. He's the guy that makes the defense go, and he had a touchdown. And he would. I think there was when he scored the touchdown. I think that was before the offense scored the touchdown.
I believe it was.
I think Tommy Eichenberg was our offense at one point in the game. He gave us the lead. So yeah, they did a good job, and Iowa, their offense is bad. Their defense is really good. So it was a game that I know Ryan Day said we were challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually a good thing for this team because they haven't been challenged this year. And, I mean, the more you can get challenged before you face a good team like Penn State, which we have coming up this week, I think the better.
Yeah, I think that defense is – I don't think they're just good. Dude, they're pretty elite, like, all the way around. I think, the score ended up the way it was just because I think we just wore them out. Like they could only hold their ground for so long. We had 3 short fields in a row due to turnovers from the defense, and then we had to settle for field goals all 3 times in that first half. So I think they just got tired, and obviously we exploited them later in the game. But coming out the gate, I was like, dang, this defense is for real. Because CJ was definitely struggling a little bit. The running game was non-existent. Kudos to the Buckeye defense, though. 6 takeaways. Granted, Petrus is a JV quarterback, but still hats off to that Buckeye defense. They were ready to go, and they brought it all day.
Well, and I want to just piggyback off the Petrus thing. They finally decided, like halfway through the game, they're like, yeah, he's not getting it done offensively. And you could when just watching Iowa throughout the year, like the opener against South Dakota State, you knew that offense was terrible.
Oh, they're bad.
Yeah. I think they scored 6? They won the game 6-3 or something, like ridiculous.
It was the worst game I've ever watched in my life.
And you just knew they didn't have to. They didn't have it, and I don't know why you stick it out with Petrus that long, knowing how abysmal your offense is going to be, and it just hadn't been any better throughout the entire year. You look at their scores of all their games, and they're like not scoring any points.
Yeah.
So they probably went with him because he has experience, but that only can get you so far. And I think that kind of leads into our conversation on this Penn State game with Sean Clifford. He's the guy right now because of his experience, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think going to Petrus, he obviously does have a lot of experience. There's no doubt. But what happened to this Iowa team? Like, I truly wonder what's happened to them, because last year, they were competing for a Big Ten championship. And now all of a sudden last year they weren't great on offense. They weren't, but they were not this bad. And I'm just losing a set. And again, they didn't lose a lot of skill position guys, but the guy they lost, and you have to wonder if that's affected the rest of their offense because they can't really run the ball. They're terrible at pass protection. Tyler Lindenbaum, who is a first-round pick, is one of the best drafts prospects we've seen at the center position. They lost him into the draft. Did he make that much of a difference that this offense just can't run the ball? They can't. Again, you need a quarterback, but even Petrus last year was reasonable. Like, he wasn't that bad last year. So I just wonder what's been going on with Iowa. He wasn't great, but they still had Tyler Goodson. They were able to rush for over 1,000 yards. Just makes you wonder what happened to that offense. I know the Buckeye defense is good, but I think Iowa also has a problem on their hands. And Nathan Baird, he was a great guest on our show from Cleveland.com, wrote an article about it. Kirk Ferentz is ruining that program right now. He really is, by putting his son as offensive coordinator and refusing to make a change.
Yeah, I did read that article.
It's pretty embarrassing.
It makes you wonder, though. Is his
Damien, we appreciate the question. So he is not the coach's son. I don't believe there's any relation there. But I wonder the same thing. I don't know how he can be that bad. And then the fact Kirk Ferentz has always been – he's one of the longest tenured coaches, if not the longest tenured coach in college football with the particular program he's at. How do you not have a quarter? Like, I also don't know how you don't have a quarterback. Great defense. Defense is amazing, but I don't know how it's that bad. I don't have an answer for you. I also think the Ohio State defense, like you said, Nick, is just elite. I think Jim Knowles has completely transformed this defense. So, it's crazy to me.
So I think Jim Knowles was the key, man. Because really, we didn't add any elite defensive talent.
You could argue McAllister. You could argue that.
McAllister's been a great fit, but it's just been insane, the transformation of just the schemes, how putting the players in the right positions has turned this defense into a force that can complement the offense. We didn't have that last year. The offense has remained a juggernaut, but the defense can actually hold its own, make plays, force turnovers.
I think and also, I mean, I know it's like everyone's first year in this scheme, but I mean, all the guys that start on defense have experience playing already. So, I mean, all they had to do was transition the scheme. But, I mean, a lot of these young guys played last year too. I mean, JT, Jack Sawyer, I mean, just to name a couple. That D-line, dude, that front is insane. I mean, they've been so good so far. And, I mean, it just comes back to experience too. I mean, now it's a new scheme, but another year in the weight room those guys had, another year of coaching and everything. So, I mean, the defense has been really fun to watch. I'm very pleased with Knowles. I knew he would make a difference. I didn't think it'd be this quickly. He'd show this big of a difference already, though.
Yeah, and again, the guy on the screen, Zach Harrison, was phenomenal. Might be one of the highest defensive grades I've ever seen in the NFL or college football, a 97.5 grade. He was insane. I mean, he had 5 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 hit, 3 hurries, 1 batted ball. I mean, dude was just fantastic. And again, it gave him a lot of crap last year because up until this year, he really hadn't done anything. He came with a lot of hype. Jim Knowles is getting the best out of Zach Harrison. And Zach Harrison right now is playing himself into the conversation that saw before last year happened that he could be a first-round pick talent-wise. He's getting there. And you can even make the conversation. He still struggles with his bend getting around tackles just because he's so tall. He might be a guy in the NFL like Gregory Rousseau, who was a D-end at Miami. You can move Zach Harrison inside, and he will create mismatches because he's just so powerful. And I think ultimately that could be where his future is. You can just have a guy you can move inside out. It'll cause so many problems for offenses. Zach Harrison's finally becoming the player we've all waited to see. It's fantastic. So,
thank goodness.
It's been a long time. Been a long time coming. Real Browns fan 32 has a comment here. Going to the game in Happy Valley. OH. IO.
Wish it was a night game, man.
Man, that's all
we were just talking about
why
that.
Why are they doing this noon game? I wanted to be a whiteout.
And they did the whiteout for Minnesota. It's like, come on, man. Like,
sad.
This is the prime team on their schedule every year, and it's like when the Buckeyes go to Happy Valley, it should be a whiteout night game, no matter what. I mean, both teams could be 0 whatever. It should be a night game, no matter what.
I agree.
Well, it's still gonna be a fun game.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be an amazing game. Can't wait to break that down. We did have some news come out today that safety Lathan Ransom is a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. How do you guys? I wanted to talk about him for a minute because he's another guy that kind of came out of nowhere and has played really well under Jim Knowles. What have been your thoughts on the safety this year? I mean, we all thought Ronnie Hickman, Josh Proctor. It's been Lathan Ransom though. What are your guys' thoughts?
I've been hyped with him. I mean, especially in the run defense as well. I mean, he's been coming up, and he's a great tackler in the open field. I mean, he's made plays defensively in the pass game as well. But I mean, I just love his run support. I mean, he'll fly. He's not very big, but he'll fly down and he'll put the hammer down. It's just fun to watch.
I think the safety room is excellent. I think that's one of our strongest positions on the team.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're so deep. So with Hickman, Ransom, Proctor, and then Cam Martinez getting a lot of playing time, and then
is Styles?
Styles is in there too.
Yeah,
Styles will be special.
Yeah,
he's going to
be really good. Yeah. So, I've just been impressed with the safeties in general, but Ransom's definitely stood out, making plays. Forcing turnovers. I don't know what his stats. I don't have the stats pulled up, but I'm sure he's doing great. He was our highest graded player last week, in Pro Football Focus. So he's been playing really well, and he's not getting like majority snaps either. It's just when he's on the field, he's making an impact.
Is he a redshirt sophomore?
He's a junior.
He's a junior? Okay.
Yeah, because he only got 36 snaps on defense last week. So it's not like on the field every single play, but
I also think you're in a situation. I mean, he's graded out so far at 86.8 this year. So he's graded out really well. I think you're in a situation with your safeties. Jim Knowles likes to mix it up a lot. He really does. He likes to move all those guys around. Jim Knowles' defense requires 3 safeties, 4 safeties. And you're seeing him. You're starting to recruit. Getting Sonny Styles is huge. And him for the future. You're going to have Lathan Ransom next year, I believe. You're going to have Styles. I think you still have another year of Ronnie Hickman. I could be wrong. But either way, I mean, I think you're really set, at least at the safety position. So another really good comment here coming from YouTube. Appreciate you guys joining us on YouTube, by the way, so we can read your comments. Talking and Grubbin Media. I love that name, by the way. I thought that the game would have been flexed to ABC for Saturday Night Football. I really don't know. Again, I don't have any answers to why they're having the Penn State Ohio State game at noon. I think it's just Fox Sports wanted the Buckeyes. I mean,
honestly, I bet Clatton Johnson will be on the call again.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah. Well, who is the Saturday night primetime game?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's a great question. Let me see if I can.
I'm so far behind on all the games this week.
Oh, it's Michigan State. Boo.
I think the reason is at the beginning of the year, Michigan State was ranked high. And one thing that college football doesn't do that the NFL does, at least at the end of the year, the NFL does is they'll change their schedule. Yeah. College football really does not do that for the most part.
A lot of the Buckeye games, they're all like TBD or TBA and all that stuff. So I mean, I figured they would kind of flip flop it.
I know. Well, kind of off topic, off the TV stuff, but these 2 games, so Iowa, Penn State back to back, they're really good gauges for what we can expect from Michigan at the end of the year, just because Michigan's played both these teams. So Iowa's defense did a really good job against Michigan for majority of the game, holding that offense in check, and Michigan gave up 14 points to Iowa. I don't remember if it was garbage time points though. That's the only thing. But the Penn State game, Penn State got walloped by Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that was a big time. They were both undefeated going into that game, and I think Penn State.
There's a lot of hype on that game too.
Yeah, and Michigan put up like 41 on them and just ran the ball. I think ran over 200 yards. Just crushed their defense. So it'll be a good litmus test for our team to see where we are offensive. I mean, we know where we're at offensively, but just as a whole, Penn State's going to be a good gauge for that.
Yeah, it will. And I mean, also in this picture here featured is Denzel Burke. Have to give him credit where it's due. Graded at an 80 this past week. It was his best performance of the year so far. So, again, Iowa isn't great offensively, but it's at least somewhat encouraging to see Denzel Burke perform that way. I'm hoping that he can get some sense of consistency moving forward because you're really going to need it at some point. We know Maryland can really throw the ball with Tua's brother. I'm not even going to try and say his name because I'll just mispronounce it.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think he's injured.
I think he had a pretty serious injury, I thought.
Oh, I thought it was just like a sprain and he was
maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Either way.
We'll figure it out. I mean, whenever we talk Ohio State Maryland, we'll probably figure it out by then. But we have a great question here about Jackson Smith-Njigba. Is he full strength? And I want to bring that up. How would you guys handle his situation moving forward? Obviously, you want him to play. You want Jackson Smith-Njigba to play, be a part of this offense. It's quite clear that he re-injured his hamstring on Saturday. Didn't come in. Ryan Day said he was on a snap count, and that's why. I don't really buy that personally. I mean, I believe he was on a snap count, but I also think that he got injured. How would you guys handle his situation moving forward? Because Jackson Smith-Njigba is a first-round pick. There's no doubt. We know that. You want him to be a part of this team. It's also a hamstring injury. These things can linger all year. How would you guys move forward with JSN moving forward? Because you want you're Ohio State. You have all this talent at wide receiver. You obviously want him to be there, but you want him to, more importantly, be 100% by the NFL Combine because it's about his future.
Yeah.
How would you guys handle this situation moving forward?
I want to talk about this one. So I think what's going to end up happening, in all honesty, is I bet he sidelines himself. Kind of similar to like Nick Bosa's situation, where he just decided to sit out the season because he's gonna get to the point where he's just not gonna feel 100%. He doesn't want to risk that draft stock, because like right now, if he doesn't play another snap this year, he's gonna be a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
If he goes out there, re-injures his hamstring, gets injured again, because like let's say you injure your hamstring, that's going to cause all kinds of issues in your leg, not just your hamstring. Everything's going to overcompensate. Then you're at like risk of tearing your ACL, which is like you're out for an entire year at that point, just from your body overcompensating for all this injury. So I don't think he's going to end up risking it. I think we've seen the last of JSN this year. And if he does play, it's not going to be a lot. And in all honesty, we don't really need him.
Yeah, I was going to say, cause I mean, but I feel like we tried to force it to him a little bit in that first half, like before he got injured. And I feel like it wasn't very natural.
It's the
how we were getting him involved. Like we were just trying to force it to him just to get his like rhythm back. So I mean, I hate to agree with you, Jordan, but I think, I mean, it'd be for his own benefit, honestly, in the long run, just to shut him down. I mean, it'd be great to, have our offense at full power, but like you said, we don't really particularly need him that much. Like, he's a great playmaker. He's dynamic as heck, but I mean, you got Fleming, Harrison, Ibuka, even Ballard can step in. I mean, you got plenty of options.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are also seeing the emergence of Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's so good.
The guy. He's
so good.
He is so good. He just makes catches every week. You're just like, who does?
I would say every week you just see how he contorts his body, and he's just so much better than everyone. I mean, it's crazy.
Joel Klatt said it. You guys heard it. Joel Klatt said it. He thinks within 5 years, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
In the NFL.
Crazy, dude.
Yes, he said that.
In the NFL.
That's insane.
Yes.
That's nuts. And that's not. He's not even going to be a rookie for another 2 seasons at least.
Yeah.
So like,
it's insane. I mean,
I think he could go out there right now in the NFL and be a team's wide receiver 1. I really do. He's just that talented.
Size, speed.
I'd take him in Cleveland, dude.
Route running, hands.
Bring him in.
Dude, I would take anybody in Cleveland at this point. That's
no, but dude, Marvin Harrison is just, I mean, he's on another level, and it's clear. I mean, it's obvious. Everyone on the field.
He's almost like Josh Gordon level athlete.
Oh, dude, yeah. That's a great comparison, actually.
I like that.
Athleticism, hands, like very similar.
Yeah.
But he's so good. And like, why would we push the? I know people like would hate for JSN not to play. I would hate it. Like, he's so good, but in his last like big performance was the Rose Bowl performance where it
was insane.
He easily could have just, if this was like, for instance, a COVID year, he easily could have just like not played, be a top 10 pick, kind of like what Jamar Chase did. Yeah. I mean, that's really what he could have done. And Kyler makes a good point here. It'd be a lot cooler if we did have him. It would be. I'd love to have JSN, but you're also at the point where he's got to look out for his long-term future. Like, it'd be great to have him. I'd love him to win a national championship, like with us being a focal point of the offense. But you have Julian Fleming, who we haven't really talked about. You have Emeka Egbuka. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. And even if you need it, you have Jaden Ballard and Xavier Johnson. I mean, So, like, it'd be great to have him, but you're just so low at the wide receiver position. Emeka Buka, my guy that I had this year he's just been on another level too. Emeka Buka's special. All these guys are special. What are we kidding ourselves?
It's funny because at the beginning of the year, we all picked for our offensive breakout players, we all picked wide receivers, and they all are showing us that they are
the guys.
Yeah, the guys.
They're the guys.
The guys we picked are producing. They're scoring touchdowns, and they all are breaking out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is cool because we had our doubts about Julian Fleming, and I was sweating. But
dude, yeah, I feel like we don't give Fleming enough love. But man,
he's another guy. He only had 2 catches. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown.
And you know what's funny, dude? It was that touchdown he caught. It was really one-on-one coverage. He just ran a post and just torched that dude. It wasn't even fair. He didn't even do anything special. He just ran by him. I mean,
yeah.
I know my buddy actually knows like Julian Fleming's aunt. Some weird thing. He lives in Pennsylvania, and he was like, all these Penn State fans, they really don't like Julian Fleming. Because he's flipped last second, right?
He did. He did flip to Ohio State.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of beef with the Penn State fans and Julian Fleming. And they were like, oh, he sucks. Like, I'm glad he's not playing and he's not getting, doing well. And then, like, now he's like, I'm pretty sure he's second on the team in touchdowns.
He might be, and I think he's missed 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. I don't have the stats up, but yeah, he's scored a ton of touchdowns. Because even like if he's only getting like 1 or 2 catches, it's one of them's a touchdown. Yeah.
Dude, who he's reminding me of right now in the NFL is Gabe Davis for the Bills. Dude just scores touchdowns.
Yeah.
Deep threat, scores touchdowns.
And he's not the number one, like he's not technically the number 1 option, but he's always there.
Yep. He's gonna be a special player in the NFL. Kyle's making
yeah. Oh no, yeah, go ahead.
Kyle's making another good point. With the Browns being a mess, we kind of have to rely on the Buckeyes to win something. This is completely accurate, Kyler. And if you tune in Wednesday nights to the Faithful Dogs podcast here on the YouTube channel, we talk Cleveland Browns football. We attempt to talk Cleveland Browns football. That's about what I can say about that. But also, if you're a Cavs fan, they're fun to watch. So not just Ohio State, but you make a very good point. What do you guys think, before we move on here and we'll break down the Ohio State-Penn State game, were you guys surprised that we couldn't run the ball, at all against Iowa? I know they have a good defense, but were you no one did anything. Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams didn't even combine, I think, for 50 yards. Were you guys surprised by that?
I think this is the game that we saw. I don't want to say like the weakness of the offense, but we saw a team that could dominate us in the trenches. At least for the first half. The second half seemed a lot better offensively. But yeah, like Jack Campbell, he's one of the best linebackers. Yeah, he's really good.
He's amazing.
He's gonna be a really tough player for a long time in the NFL, but he was definitely a big part of that run stoppage for Iowa's defense.
I think what really surprised me about this is it just seemed like there was no way for us to get anything going on, regardless of who was in. I felt like with Mayan Williams, even though he didn't rush for a lot, he did have a touchdown, and the offense seemed to really click a little bit more with him on the field. But even then, you weren't really doing anything on the ground. And I think you saw a recipe, and this is why it was somewhat close at the beginning here. Iowa has guys that could match up one-on-one with Ohio State's receivers. And the key to beat Ohio State, we kind of saw a blueprint on how you can do it. Iowa can't sustain that because they don't have the offense. But Iowa is able to match up one-on-one, and they're able to stack the box when we run the ball. Mm-hmm. I think we saw, again, this offense is elite. There's no doubt. But if there is somewhat of a formula to even contain Ohio State's offense, I think you saw an idea of that on Saturday for one half. You kind of saw if you can get to these receivers one-on-one, which in the first half they did. CJ Stroud was uncomfortable because he had to wait a while for guys to get open. They were stopping the run game. Ohio State had some issues until we saw the second half, made adjustments, and they flew by.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, they were able to match up one-on-one, and they were pressing a lot at the line. Like, they were bumping and running a lot, and that messed up CJ's timing because I feel like CJ's a very timing-oriented guy. Like, he throws the ball to a spot, anticipating his guy to be there. And, yeah, I mean, his rhythm was jacked up just because the receivers were having a tough time at first kind of getting off the line, getting through their routes. And CJ, yeah, he had to hold on to it. And, I mean, I don't know, especially with, like, I know when CJ when he got sacked and he fumbled, I mean, it was a coverage sack. He just kind of was waiting. And then I don't think he thought Campbell was going to take him all the way down to the ground. Like,
yeah.
It was real weird. Because he didn't really ever secure the ball. But, yeah, I mean, but how many teams can match up one-on-one for a whole 4 quarters?
They can't. A couple, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, this was definitely a very rough blueprint on how to potentially beat the Buckeyes. Defensively at least. I mean, their offense the other team's offense has to keep up. But, I don't know. It was, I mean, first quarter, I was kind of like, man, we don't look very good. We had back to the short fields. I mean, I was like, ugh, this is rough. But then we finally got it click in, and I was like, okay, this is the Buckeyes I know, and I can relax now. Yeah, I think the one thing with CJ Stroud, and this is why the debate going into the 2023 NFL draft is going to be very back and forth on these two. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, the difference between the two, CJ Stroud is the best quarterback, and I mean one of the elite quarterbacks, and will be elite in the NFL. If it's on script, he will be nearly flawless. When he has to create a little bit, Bryce Young has him, and when things break down, Bryce Young can make more of a play than CJ Stroud. I love CJ, I do. That's the one worry for him that I have for him as an NFL prospect. When things go off script, can he make the plays continuously? Because at Ohio State, he gets a little rattled if anything goes off script just a little bit. Yeah. And I think that's the one thing moving forward with CJ to really watch as he continues to develop as an NFL prospect. Because Bryce Young, I don't think he's as good of a player as CJ Stroud, but one thing Bryce Young can do, that man can create, and he can make plays when there is nothing to be made. And I don't think as of right now, CJ Stroud has really shown that he can do that as well.
I think a good comparison to CJ Stroud would be a Justin Herbert type quarterback.
Yeah.
Herbert's nowhere near as mobile as like Josh Allen per se, but
no, his hair gives him all the power.
Pretty much, yeah. I think he's like very similar to Herbert, but the NFL is kind of like they're trending towards they like these quarterbacks that can create outside the pocket. Like Zach Wilson went number 2 overall, just because they loved how he could create. He had the very like Patrick Mahomes-esque thing that they like about him being able to throw on the move and stuff like that off platform throws. But yeah, CJ, when he's sitting in the pocket, he's got a clean pocket and he can throw. He's always on the money. It's just like in the NFL, you don't usually get that if you're a high draft pick and you're going to a team that's not very good. Your offensive line usually is not good. So that's going to be a really big thing for him. Is he's going to get blitzed a lot his rookie year. He's going to have to make throws in pockets that are not empty.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be something he's going to have to work on, and we're going to see it as the season goes on here. and our schedule gets tougher with Penn State this week, Michigan at the end of the year, you know good and well that they are going to be bringing some pressure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they are seeing what we're seeing. We don't know anything about football. And so, they are looking at it, and they can see that CJ struggles when he has somebody in his face, or he has to create. So I think that's going to be the key to beat Ohio State this year, and CJ Stroud's going to be the key to get us to the promised land, the national championship. So it's pretty much on his shoulders offensively. If we can take it, he's going to have to take what the defense gives him, not force anything, and then create, which is going to be interesting. But I think we can get it done. Like, I want to say that I just lost my train of thought.
It's all good. It's all good. Real Browns fan 32 makes another good point. As long as the NFL team can adapt to its strengths other than CJ adjusting to theirs.
Okay.
And that's the key. That's the key. And that's why Justin Fields, the Bears are just ruining Justin Fields. That's a whole other – I could spend an hour talking about Justin Fields. Anyway, what were you going to say, JD?
Yeah, so that to go along with that comment, Ohio State's offense with Ryan Day, it's very it's almost simple.
It's really quarterback friendly.
It's very quarterback friendly.
Yeah, crossing routes and vertical.
Yeah. And he makes it so like the quarterbacks can read the defense, but very few times does CJ Stroud make multiple reads on his throws.
Yeah.
He can do it.
If at all.
I'll say he likes to stare down a little bit. He
can do it.
But his arm talent's just so good that he's able to make these throws while staring down his guy.
I think that would
also why people are intrigued, and Nick knows this, with Will Levis from Kentucky. These guys like quarterbacks now when things are off script that they can make a play.
Yeah.
Regardless if they think that I mean, everyone wants to find the next Josh Allen. They do. That's where we're at. Like, I mean, CJ Stroud is going to – I think he's going to be a really good NFL player, but one of the things he's going to have to really start to do, especially as we get into this season and as he really translates to the NFL, he's got to make decisions quicker. I mean, you're not going to have an offensive line – like you said, JD, you're not going to have an offensive line like you did at Ohio State. You're not. You're not going to have over 3 seconds every time to throw the ball. And you're not going to have Marvin Harrison Jr., Mecca Ibuka, Jack Smith and Jigba, Julian Fleming there to throw to. Chris Olave, Garrett, you're not going to have that. You're going to have to really process things. You're going to go to a team like the Texans. You're going to have Brandon Cooks.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, my bad. He might be traded. But
Maybe.
You're talking, that's it. Like, I mean, well, unless
Damian Pierce.
unless the Texans use that pick and take Jackson Smith and Jigba too, but that we gave him. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think he's going to be a good NFL player, but it's just something moving forward to watch how quickly he starts to process things, especially going to Penn State, tough environment on Saturday, but then Michigan at the end of the year, how he performs. That's really going to tell us what kind of quarterback he is, especially going to the NFL level. Well, before we move on and we do preview Ohio State, Penn State, we are going to take just a minute here and we are going to have a word from our sponsor at Homage.
What's up, guys? We've been talking about Homage for a really long time, but I can't get across how comfortable the products are. Like, this is literally the softest hoodie that you'll ever have, and it's not just about, comfort when it comes to the style. It's effective as well. It keeps you warm. I mean, look, this thing is not, it's all vintage looking, but it's looked like this. I've owned this thing for 5 years. So you got Ohio State, you got the Browns, you got the Cavs, you got the Guardians. They've got everything to have you covered all year long for all your Cleveland sports. I know the Victory Monday thing's a little brutal this year, but we got all kinds of awesome designs. You got to check them out. We'll put a link. There's always links in all of our episodes in the descriptions and sometimes in the comments as well. They're the best on the market, man. I don't even know what to say anymore, but go over there, check out Homage today. Go Cavs.
And guys, as we're getting ready here to break down Ohio State and Penn State, what have been your – I mean, we haven't really watched them super closely this year. I mean, we haven't. But what have been just some of your overall takeaways with Penn State? You kind of mentioned, Nick, the quarterback situation. Jordan did you as well. Penn State starting Sean Clifford again. They have a freshman quarterback that
He's a stud.
I believe – I'm not just saying – if they started Drew – I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I believe if they started him, this team might be competing for a Big Ten championship and maybe even a college football playoff. I think he's that good. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I truly think Penn State they have some talent, especially at running back, having a freshman that's really good. That defense is pretty solid, especially with Joey Porter Jr. still there at corner. How do you guys feel about this game on Saturday? Because you're going to Happy Valley. It is going to be a tough test.
I just can't believe Clifford's still there, dude. Is he like an 8th-year senior? Like, I feel like he's been at Penn State forever. I know it's amazing to me that, like, you look at a guy like back to Will Levis. He was literally Clifford's backup at Penn State. He goes to Kentucky because he's like, wow, I'm not getting any burn at Penn State. Goes to Kentucky. And now he's a top 5 prospect in the NFL draft. Like, it just baffles me that they have so much confidence in Clifford to get them there. Like, don't get me wrong, they've had decent seasons, but like he doesn't have like the X factor to get them over the top.
I think that's a really big thing in college football, more so than NFL, is having a player that has the X factor.
Yeah,
because college football is so – I mean, like, apart from Ohio State's offense and like really high efficiency offenses, Alabama is always up there. You need players that can make plays in college football, off script, and that are dynamic, that are fast. And Clifford doesn't really have any of that. And, like, I'm sure he's playing at a really, I wouldn't say high level.
Respectable.
At a respectable level.
Mm-hmm.
He's no Petrus. He's no some of these guys we see, like Wisconsin quarterback. And he's not on that level. He's a good, experienced quarterback that has had winning seasons in college football at a really big program. But like Alar, that dude can chuck the rock.
He's gonna be special.
I can't believe that Ohio State let him get out of Columbus. He went to Medina. Like he was right there. Like,
I wonder? I mean, they went with Devin Brown in that particular quarterback class. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I mean, you also have Kyle McCord here. You're bringing in Dylan Raiola in 2024, who's the number 1 overall quarterback. I don't know why they let him get out. I don't.
Maybe it's just style, just the style of quarterback they were looking. He is very much a pocket pat. Like, he's not mobile at all.
Well, then he wasn't coming here.
Yeah,
Kyle McCord cool. At least has a little bit of mobility to him. Not a ton, but he can move a little bit. I think he can move more than C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's really saying anything, though.
He's going to stand in the pocket and throw the football, but the fact that they didn't throw him into the fire this year
kind of surprising.
Is kind of surprising. Like, he's the number 1 quarterback in the country coming out last year, so like maybe they just wanted him to. And
he got some time last year, didn't he?
No, he's a true freshman.
No, he's a true freshman, man.
Oh yeah. Crap.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was a true freshman.
He's going to be really good. He's going to make Penn State. I think he's going to put them in the conversation for the college football playoff. I really do. I just think he's that good. And Penn State has not had a quarterback like him. Maybe ever. I can't really think. I mean, you're talking Kerry Collins in like the late 90s. So Penn State has not had a quarterback like Drew at all at any point. So great addition for them. I really can't believe that they're starting Clifford over him. I get the experience level, so on and so forth. But Clifford, he has 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's only completing 60% of his passes, and he only averages 7 yards an attempt. I mean, I get he's a veteran. I get it. But, dude, if you want a guy that can take you to the next level, I would go with the freshman. That's just me. Hey, I'm glad to see Sean Clifford on Saturday because I think this defense will feast.
Maybe they just don't think he's ready. Maybe they just want to take it because they know he's the guy.
I'll say this is Clifford's last year, and he's on his way out anyway. I mean, they're probably, like you said, I think they're just waiting for him to get another year of development, another year of weight room, another year of getting the offense down. I mean, but next year, look out.
Yeah, like I said, though, you need X factor players in college football, and they got one on the bench. So
they absolutely have one on the bench. They also have a very, very good running back. That he is the next. I think he's the next. He's the next stud running back Penn State has. You have Miles Sanders. You have Saquon Barkley. I mean, you've had Michael Robinson. Well, Michael Robinson was quarterback. My apologies. But either way, I mean, you've had a lot of good running backs come through Penn State. I think Nicholas Singleton's the next one. He's 561 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6.8 yards a carry. He has been fantastic this year for Penn State. And I think that's ultimately – this passing game feeds off the run. It's how Penn State's always been since James Franklin got there in this pro-style offense. Got to find a way to contain Singleton on Saturday. Have to find a way to make it happen because if you don't, Saturday could be a little bit more challenging than we expect. Ohio State, I believe, is like a 15-point favorite going in.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Do you think it should be higher, lower?
I think it's good.
I need a challenge. I hate college football for the fact that there are so many blowouts every week.
There are a lot.
It's incredible.
I like watching good football games. So, I mean, if Ohio State's offense has an off day and they're still scoring 56 points, like, gosh.
I mean, and that's just it. I mean, against a very good Iowa defense, they looked subpar. So and they still scored 56. Yeah, I mean it's incredible. So I mean I think 15.5 is a good gauge. I mean, on the road, you're still giving us 2 touchdowns. So I mean that just shows you how much they credit this offense or how little they credit Penn State's offense. Now I like George, I hope it's a good game. I still hope we win by a lot. But I hope it's good.
This will be the best offense we've faced all year so far.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So this is going to be a real challenge for the defense because we haven't really played anybody elite or efficiently. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, our schedule up until this game has been pretty cupcake. I mean, it's been very weak.
That Michigan State game was the one that was like in the middle where we're like, oh, at the beginning of the year,
this might be a little challenging.
This might be, and they were so bad.
Yeah. And we thought don't get me wrong. Notre Dame was, that was a tough game, but look at them now. So, I mean, this is kind of like our first quote unquote real test, especially on the road. I mean,
dude, Notre Dame's so back. What do you mean?
Oh, dude.
So actually, back. Texas is back. What do you mean?
Yeah. I hope it's exciting. I mean, I hope it's close, but I hope we still win I hope we still cover.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to that when we make our predictions here, but another weapon on Penn State's offense, and this is one of the things with James Franklin's offense. Penn State always has very solid tight ends, and their tight end, Brenton Strange, he's got 245 yards this year, 4 touchdowns. He is a red zone threat. He's a guy they like to throw to in the red zone. Sean Clifford likes to be able to use his tight end. He loved Pat Fryermuth, and he's been using Brenton Strange a lot as he is their 3rd leading receiver. Some of the other guys on their offense here at wide receiver, you have Mitchell Tinsley, who it was a transfer from Western Kentucky, so he played with Bailey Zappi in that air raid offense that absolutely just destroyed everybody. 6'1", 206 pounds. He's got 340 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, overall, guys, do you think the key? I mean, obviously, you got to contain the run game, but do you think it really just comes down to how our corners perform in this game?
Yeah, the defense has played a lot of really good tight ends this year,
and we've done decent.
And we've done a really good job defending the tight ends. So I think it's more on the linebackers than the corners. You're not going to have a corner lined up on a tight end ever. So yeah, I think this is going to be the test for the corners. I think, I mean, if Alar was in the game, they would be forcing the ball downfield. He's got a cannon. Like, he could throw downfield. Clifford, like you said, averaging 7 yards a pass. He's probably not pushing the ball downfield too much.
No,
I don't even know what his numbers are this year. How many interceptions has he thrown?
3.
Only 3.
Yeah, he's pretty secure.
He's pretty
with the ball.
Yeah.
I
mean, you're averaging 7 yards an attempt. I mean, you're not throwing the ball, man. You're really not. And this is where they miss Jahan Dotson a lot, and I think that's what really helps Ohio State in this game. Jahan Dotson being in the NFL takes away a huge element of this offense.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because Jahan Dotson is a guy that can make plays after the catch and was an amazing route runner. And I'd say he and Chris Olave were the 2 best route runners in the Big Ten last year. But Sean Clifford would just throw him the ball, quick game, and Jahan Dotson would just make a play. You don't have that anymore.
Well, even when they had KJ Hamler, that was the same thing. Short passes, getting the ball in space, let the guys with the speed create the play. And I don't know if they have anybody that's quite on that level right now.
They don't.
Which definitely plays in the favor of Ohio State's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohio State's defense has proved this year they are fast. They are a fast defense.
They flow to the ball they gang tackle like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so fun to watch. It's so refreshing.
It is, compared to what we had to watch the last couple of years under Kerry Combs. But I think in this game, we have the best wide receiver core in the country. I believe it. Really can't wait to watch how they perform against Joey Porter Jr. in this secondary that Penn State has. It's one thing Penn State has. They got some really good corners that will play at the NFL level.
That's right there? Oh,
Yep.
What's his wingspan? Holy cow.
Dude,
his arms are so long.
Dude,
That's the first thing JD notices.
Yeah, dude.
He's got that MJ Emerson length right there.
I don't have his wingspan, but he is 6'2", 198.
That's a big corner. That's a big corner.
Love it. Love it.
Him against Marvin Harrison Jr., that'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Ooh, 2 former NFL kids going against each other.
Who's his dad?
Joey Porter.
Oh.
Duh.
Man, come on. At least you tried. But no, I really do think that's going to be a fun matchup. Again, you have the better receivers than the secondary, but Penn State, they have some good corners, pretty strong safety group back there. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. I think Ohio State will be able to control this game on the ground. I think we're going to see the ball ran a lot more on Saturday because I think they'll control the ground game.
You think Ohio State? You think Ohio State's going to run the ball a lot?
I think they are. I think this secondary against Penn State, you're obviously going to throw a decent amount, but I think they really want to establish the run against Penn State.
All right, so this might not be a popular opinion. I have no idea. I've never read anything about it, but I think Ohio State's offense is built around throwing the ball to open the run game. Tell me.
I could see that.
Do you know what I mean? Is like they run these like outside zones out of shotgun where there's like no linebackers like even close to like there's no linebackers in the box because everybody's spread out because everybody's trying to stop the pass. And I don't think there's any other team that does that quite like Ohio State where they'll throw the ball to open up the run game. And so when they try to establish a run early, and defenses are playing it, which is what we saw with Iowa, I think that becomes an issue for this offense. So I think you're right. They want to run the ball, but it has to go through the offense throwing initially. So I think that's just my thoughts. I don't know if you guys ever noticed anything like that before.
I kind of have noticed that, actually. I guess I just never really think about it because I'm so used to the run game establishing the pass. I am, but
I mean that's normally how it is. That's in every. We don't do play action though, so like, and even if we do play action, it's out of shotgun, which is like nowhere near as effective as like being under center, turning your body to have the defense bite down. So like they really don't use the run to set up the pass at Ohio State, which is like counterintuitive to every football piece of literature you'd ever read. But I just thought that was an interesting thing I've noticed over the past couple of years that I've just never seen anybody talking about.
Yeah, that really is a good point, JD. I'm going to have to watch that more moving forward because now I'm really curious to see how much the pass does set up the run for Ohio State. But as we're wrapping up, guys, because we got to wrap up here, Ohio State versus Penn State on Saturday. The Buckeyes are favored by 15. How do you see the game playing out? Score and prediction, obviously.
42-17, Ohio State.
So they definitely cover.
Oh yeah, they're gonna cover. Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna get one no Ruggles field goal in there. I'll make it 31-13.
31 points. Wow, dude, that would if we only scored 31, that would actually come as a shock.
I think this is the best team we've played so far this year. So I can't say I can't. Yeah, we're on the road. 31-13.
I have Ohio State. I'm gonna go 38-17. 38-17. I think the beginning of the game we're gonna start off a little bit slow. It's our toughest road game this year that we have. I think it's gonna start off a little slow, but they'll pick it up. We are I would say like in the past we've been a better second half team. I think that's what we'll see again on Saturday. So we'll obviously cover. I have no doubt. But you mentioned Noah Ruggles. Got to give a shout out to the Ohio State kicker. That was fantastic on Saturday when we needed him to be. So quick shout out.
He was foe for foe, and then field goals and 5 for 5 on PATs or something.
He was our offense for a while.
Was nasty.
He really was. Hey,
he's nasty.
Kickers win championships.
That's right, baby.
But as we're wrapping things up, guys, I appreciate all of you that tuned in to this episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. If you haven't already, please just take a second. Follow us on Twitter. We are at the SG_podcast on Twitter. So please give us a follow on there. And if you've been watching on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching us, if you would take a second, go to the YouTube channel and drop a subscribe button for us. We would really appreciate that. It's free to subscribe to the channel. And you'll also get entered to enter giveaways that we're going to have that will only be for people that are subscribed to our channel. So you want to make sure you do that. Also, drop a like on the video. That way we can reach a bigger audience than just Columbus, Ohio. We always appreciate all of your support. Join us next week, but as we will talk about Ohio State, Penn State, and preview Ohio State in Indiana, I believe I don't have the schedule in front of me. But anyway, tune in with Down to the Browns. They are going live right now. They are going to break down the latest on the David Njoku's ankle injury, the Kareem Hunt trade talks. They'll have it all for you as they try and attempt to talk Browns. This has been the Scarlet and Gray podcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and go Bucks.
Oh, wait, baby.